Division of labor. People that work are mostly probably college students. You have to be at least 16 in order to work. So if you were like high school age, you would also be able to work. And then I think, like I said, it's important when you're in college to work because then you understand that you can go to school and work and get your things done in an orderly fashion and still really fulfill yourself in your life. Also, those who are physically able to work, even if they are obviously above 16, they need to be able to work. The only reason you cannot have a job is if you are physically unable to work, like you cannot walk or you're blind. Taxes and money from your job goes towards education and you pay into the system. So you pay a certain amount of your money to taxes, which goes to education and to help support other people and yourself. But the money that you pay in mostly goes to support you. It doesn't just go into a communal pot that everyone can get into because you're more needy than somebody else, because then you don't leave enough money for other people to use it if you're sucking the government dry. Healthcare and disability. Healthcare and education, like I said, are paid through taxes, so your money from when you work goes to pay your health care, like a benefit plan, and also goes towards your education. That includes like your children going to elementary school or something like that. You can donate the money to schools or to organizations in the community to be used for families in need and students who cannot afford to go to school. Public transportation is also used to accommodate people who are disabled. They are able to use their wheelchair, their cane. If you are blind, you can have a guide, whatever is necessary for you to get around or get into public events. Like at the art museum, there might be, if you are blind, there would be an audio tour for you to take. Or if you are deaf, you could have a translator there that could guide you through the museum so that everyone can equally enjoy the city and all the outer regions. The educational system. Education in Alexandria is highly valued. It is so important to them because without your education, you can't complete a lot of the simple things in your life. And you can't fully enjoy your life if you don't always have that learning coming into you. Education through high school is expected. College is an option that is paid for. I said earlier that some of your wages go into a pot for your education. That is not given to somebody else. That is for you and your children. So if your children are in school, obviously, or if they are working, or if they want to go to college, or you would like to go to college, both of you could go because it would be paid for through your wages. Art is a highly stressed subject. It's very important to the Alexandrians because it makes things more beautiful, and it also helps you cognitively think about things better. It really relates to different things in your life, how your brain works, what your likes and dislikes are, how you see the world around you and the other people in it. Field trips in school are highly encouraged because that's the best part about school. You get to go to school, you learn, and then you get to go see the things that you learn. Whether you're going to the zoo, the aquarium, the art museum, or taking a little field trip to the library, everybody gets to go on field trips. Attendance, good grades, and high scores are expected, so there is no slacking, there is no excuses. You come to class, you get good grades, and you do the best you possibly can. Of course, since expectations are so high, teachers are highly trained, and there's always somebody there to help the kids, or of course the adults or people going to college. Technology. Technology has to be present, I think, in my Utopia, and just in general to do work in school, like to type school papers. It's just easier to grade them, easier to keep track of things if things are computerized or in some way digitalized. And then, of course, at your job, certain jobs just cannot be done by hand. They just can't. And, of course, entertainment would be used for technology, such as going to the movies or lighting systems in the theater, keeping track of books in the library, watching movies in your home, using the internet, things like that. But you cannot have too many electronics going on at once. Like, I don't think it's fair that electronics would be in cars. Like, you can't have a DVD player in your car because that's distracting to you, it's distracting to the passengers, and it's distracting to the people around you. Having TVs all over in restaurants is also very distracting because that's supposed to be a time when you're bonding with the people around you, when you're spending time with people, not gawking at the television wondering what the score is or look at that movie, it looks so cool. And it is obviously expected to be present, but it is also expected that it is not overused or misused in any fashion because that is also not allowed in Alexandria. The ecology of Alexandria, the Utopians really value their world. It's important to know that resources are limited and that you need to think critically when you're thinking about the world around you. You only have so many building materials. You can only use oil and gas so much. So solar and wind energy is really important to the Utopians. The solar panels and the wind powered turbines and things like that are going to be located in certain places where they aren't heavily populated. Probably like the desert or the jungle, maybe some windmills and things like that, like the ones they have in California, would be found in Utopia in the seaside region or the jungle where you don't have tons of people crowding around and lots of electricity is being used. That way it can be routed to the places where it's needed. There's organic food in Alexandria. I don't think it's fair how they treat animals, and I wouldn't want the Alexandrians to treat animals terribly with feeding them the wrong things, mistreating them in their areas and the way they're held or grown. And then, of course, putting pesticides and things on your plants is just harmful to people, so that wouldn't be a good idea in Alexandria. And then another great thing that I really wanted in my Utopia was that you could eat as much as you wanted, even cupcakes or cake or whatever you wanted, and you would never gain weight, because that is just not fair. Role of the arts. Art is taught at every level, and students are encouraged to put their pieces in public buildings. Like there might be an exhibit of elementary schoolers' work in the library, or in the university they put university student works, obviously, or maybe in the bank or in different restaurants. It might be nice to have pretty pictures and things on the walls from students and people in the community. That way you know the people around you and you really relate well with them. And then I wanted there to be a monthly play and outdoor concert. So a local band might come, or maybe a famous band might be allowed in Alexandria and come and perform outside. And of course that would be free and open to the public so everyone could enjoy the art. Leisure activities. There's different leisure activities at every region. So for example, in the jungle, you could go on like a wild safari and see crazy animals and camp out under the stars, and it would be beautiful. And in the seaside, you could take surfing lessons, or you could go parasailing, or use your metal detector, or look for seashells. And then in the desert, I decided that there should be as many swimming pools as there possibly can, because it is scorching. Religious communities. Religion was not something I really thought about in my Utopia until the end, because it's not a big thing to me, so I don't want it to totally consume the Utopians' lives, because there's so many other things to enjoy out there than constantly being tied to your religion in every way. So it's not vastly important to the Utopians, but it is present, especially for things like holidays like Christmas or Easter and things like that. There are different ones that are allowed. So if you come in, let's say, and you're Hindu, you're allowed to celebrate your religion. Or if you come in and you're a Mormon, you're allowed to be a Mormon or a Catholic or whatever you are in Alexandria. But there is no solicitation or conversion, which means that you cannot go door to door or bother people at work or send them things in the mail harassing them about, you should come and join my religion because life is better with God. That's not fair to people. If you are choosing not to, you are choosing not to. Personally, if you are curious and you wish to go to someone or go to a community and talk to someone about, I would like to know more about your religion, or I would like to try being part of your religion, that is perfectly fine. I don't think that religious wars would be allowed in Alexandria, because that is ridiculous. To think God wants you to kill people is just outrageous. Or to think that it's okay to have a gazillion wives and just randomly have children with underage girls is also not appropriate. So that would not be allowed. In your religion or in your religious community, you would have to be a good citizen.